Hi, this is Lin. Welcome to my video. During this pandemic, if you say something against the mainstream narrative on the social media, you will be censored. And if you are a doctor and you are against the mainstream narrative, you will risk your medical license being taken away. What if you are a scientist? If you publish a paper or study that is against the mainstream narrative, what will happen? According to the report from the Vanity Fair, evolutionary biologist Jasse he published a paper against a mainstream narrative. His paper suggests that the origin of the SARS-CoV-2 virus is not from the Huanan wet market. And this is against the mainstream narrative. After Jasse Bloom submitted his paper, he was asked by another person who has the access to his paper to either delete his paper or modify the paper in a way that nobody can find out. That is a very strange story. And imagine next time when you read a study or paper from a science journal and the content is actually modified in a way to fit the mainstream narrative. And how could you trust this is science? This is manipulated science. So today in this video, I'm going to take you through this story investigated by Vanity Fair. So here is the report from the Vanity Fair, and because of the time, I'll skip some part, but you can always read the entire story from the link I provided in the description below. So here it says Jasse Bloom had submitted the paper to a preprint server, a public repository of scientific papers awaiting peer review. On the same day that he would send a copy to Fauci and Collins. So Fauci is Dr. Fauci and Collins is the director of NIH. So Collins immediately organized a Zoom meeting for Sunday, June 20th. This is the last year, 2021. He invited two outside scientists, evolutionary biologist Kristen Anderson and biologist Robert Gary, and allowed Bloom to do the same. Bloom chose Pound and Rasmus Nielsen, a genetic biologist. So during the meeting, after Bloom described his research, the Zoom meeting became extremely contentious. He wrote, Anderson leaped in and saying that he found the preprint deeply troubling. If the Chinese scientists wanted to delete their sequences from the database, which NIH policy entitled them to do, it was unethical for Bloom to analyze them further, he claimed. And there was nothing unusual about the early genomic sequence in Wuhan. Instantly, Nielsen and Anderson were yelling at each other, Bloom wrote, with Nielsen insisting that the early Wuhan sequence were extremely puzzling and unusual. By the way, please allow me to interrupt. When a scientist doesn't agree with another scientist, the best way to resolve the issue is to have a scientific debate, which we never seen during this pandemic. It is very important to have a public scientific debate so that we can really figure out the truth. However, we never get this chance during this pandemic. Fauci then weighed in, objecting to the preprint description of the Chinese scientist surreptitiously deleting the sequences. The word was loaded. said Fauci, and the reason they would ask for the deletion was unknown. So here is the highlight of the story. That's when Anderson made a suggestion that surprised Bloom. He said he was a screener at the preprint server, which gave him access to papers that weren't yet public. He then offered to either entirely delete the preprint or revise it in a way that would leave no record that this had been done. Bloom refused. That was a very weird behavior from Anderson. As you can see, he has the access to the papers. He suggests Bloom to either delete or revise in a way that nobody can find out. That is really weird because science is about transparency. Why would you do this suspicious move behind the scene and so that nobody can find out? So when a scientist doesn't agree with another scientist, the best way is to have a scientific debate. At least it is better than doing something like Anderson did behind the scenes so nobody can find out. That is very suspicious. That is not science. That is a manipulated science. And if you agree with me, please hit the like button and also share this story or share this video with more people, because our science is not real science. It is manipulated by people like Anderson. So thank you for watching today's video. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye.